Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to We Believe Digital News Break. Just a couple minutes after 2 o'clock on Friday afternoon, broadcasting from Jackson, Mississippi, where it's 88 degrees and lots of sunshine. Not too bad on the humidity, so it kind of feels nice outside. But God knows we've got so much going on and so much to share with you today. Happy to be here with my co-host, Mr. Socrates Garrett. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing extremely well, Chris. Good to be back in the studio.
Yes, sir. It doesn't get much better than this. But we've got so many stories and we've got so much going on in our studio. You know, we sort of look at this studio, the brainchild of Mr. Garrett, that has been rocking and rolling over here. And we've got so many opportunities over here. You know, we just finished cutting a political commercial for an up-and-coming candidate. I hope that can work out well for her. And we're doing advertisements for different folks, and we're running podcast shows. And there's a diverse swath of people are getting a chance to come in, get their message out, as you like to say, moving their products and services forward on our platform. So it's a really unique opportunity that We Believe Digital provides. You can always talk to us by calling in 1-800-492-5186. We'll be happy to talk to you about an opportunity for you on We Believe Digital. We have very affordable rates, and I'm sure we can work with you in some way. We'd be happy to speak to you at any time. So my name is Chris Young, and again, we have Mr. Garrett. Mr. Garrett, what do you say we start out at the broad lens and work our way back in?
That sounds like a plan.
We got a big announcement, I believe it was the day before yesterday, from the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, confirms that Joe Biden, the one that the other side, they call him Brandon or something like that, that he definitely intends to seek re-election in 2024. So before that announcement, they were kind of deferring whenever anybody asked the question on that. Well, we haven't made up our mind, what have you, but now it's official. He intends to seek re-election. So how about that?
Well, I think that President Biden has done a great job thus far, and as long as his health and his desire and his energy level remain intact, then I think he should seek a second term.
You know, information came out from Robert, I believe it's Reich. Is it Reich? Or he's worked in the Ford administration, the Carter administration, and with the Bill Clinton administration. Knows a lot about numbers and so forth, and was sharing on I could have been Twitter yesterday or the day before, bouncing all these numbers around, but 745 billionaires now hold more wealth than half of the United States households. It's just a staggering statistic, you know, to have so few people, less than 1,000 people, controlling 50% of the wealth in the country.
Yeah, I mean, that's capitalism for you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this country is built upon ingenuity and people who are willing to take the risk and people who put themselves out there. And so capitalism is going to reward some, and it certainly is not going to be good for most of the country. But that's the society that we live in, and it's the only one I've ever known. And so I don't know about socialism and how that would work. I hear that you don't have any initiative, any ambition, any drive to get up and take risks under that type of society. So I could be wrong. But to have 745 billionaires controlling half of the wealth gap in America is creating some problems. It's creating some problems that this country is going to have to deal with. But Chris, I don't know what the solution would be. We can't take the wealth from others and just disperse it amongst the population. I don't see that as fair. And so maybe it's in the amount of taxes they pay. Maybe that's what the problem is. I don't think it's a problem that they are billionaires. It may be a problem that they're not paying their fair share of taxes.
Yeah, and I think Biden's trying to do something about that.
Yeah.
So we shall see.
Yeah.
There's a deadline coming up for something called the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, and we just wanted to make people aware of that. The deadline is at October 31st, at the end of this month. So if you're a public school teacher or a frontline public health worker or a veteran, you could be eligible for this program. You see sometimes PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness, having to do with training and education loans, et cetera, et cetera. So who knows? Maybe you know somebody that would qualify, or you know somebody else, friends or colleagues or what have you, that could take advantage of that. So just to share that with folks. And Mr. Garrett, when this Hurricane Ian now is long dissipated, long gone away, wreaked havoc in Florida. They're still searching down there in different parts. There's still massive flooding going on in different parts. People are talking about mental health issues. Power is still an issue for a lot of folks. Just as it was in Cuba, they're pretty much back in good shape now. Same thing with Puerto Rico, and maybe Florida by now. But as of yesterday, there was still 400,000 folks in without power in Sarasota, Lee, Collier, Charlotte, and Manatee counties, based on a report from Reuters. Just and the estimates of the destruction, it just boggles the mind. $75 billion. And now people are saying, well, in areas like this that get repeatedly hit, I mean, should they even bother to rebuild? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, well, we have to go back and get Al Gore, maybe. Gentleman that says he discovered the internet.
Right.
We got to figure out what's happening with climate change in this country, Chris. These type of storms are beginning to just rain and wreak havoc on our coastlines. And so, as you say, either we got to move further inland, or, we got to understand this weather pattern. I think we've had more named storms so far this year than we've had in a long time. And the devastation down in Fort Myers and Sarasota,
right,
is just tremendous. And I know that the president is down there and visiting the area and has committed all of the resources and support from the federal government to the citizens in Florida. And so we hope and we pray that they won't find any more people missing or any more people that are dead. We hope and pray that they will begin the rebuild process and try and restore some normalcy in that area of the country. So it's just bad down there right now. The only way you can get to the islands over there is by barge. You can't get laborers and crews on the islands to do the work. The debris removal has got to be done by barge in a lot of places. You got to establish man camps because there's no housing after these storms. And it's just devastating what's going on down there.
And so far, right about 100 bodies.
100 bodies, and I'm certain that that's going to rise as they get further into their rescue process. I think they're still in rescue mode with the operation, and so it's just tragic, and I know some parts of Florida, like Tampa and everywhere else there, that it had forecasted to hit or somewhat relieved.
Right.
But the neighbors down south just catching real hell down there, Chris.
Right, right. In Mississippi, the Fifth Circuit has got a 3-judge panel that's reviewing the legality of the Department of Justice having sued Mississippi 6 years ago. And the issue is this, is that when you have people that are mentally ill, you know, the traditionally for a long time, if that acuity of the illness got to a certain point, those people would be institutionalized. However, 25, 30 years ago even, the idea of community-based services, you know, grew more and more popular because of the effectiveness, because when a person is surrounded by family with closer ties to their community, they do better with most illnesses, you know, and of course you factor in medication and all that kind of stuff. So this is an interesting story that I saw. I just wanted to share with the viewers. You know, it's all about the difference, you know, between, you know, because Mississippi has pushed back on community-based services. The Department of Mental Health has pushed back on community-based services and prefers institutionalization, which is not the most modern thinking about this subject. So we'll see how that transpires. Fifth Circuit Court. Another thing that's going on this week, you know, the old Capitol Museum. And Mr. Garrett, sometimes I just struggle with some of these issues, but a big deal has been made about we're going to get this old Capitol Museum on State Street in Jackson reopened after 6 months of repairs. I mean, I really think it seemed like it was much longer than 6 months, but in any event, the Capitol Museum is back open for tours and so forth. The old Capitol Museum. And it's just a viewpoint, one of many, but it just sure seems like we put so much emphasis on yesterday down here in Mississippi.
Oh, I don't know, Chris. I don't know if we put enough emphasis on yesterday. I think many times we try to hide yesterday. And so to the extent that we can share our history and share, you know, the kinds of things that was going on in our state, it's going to make us a better place. You got to get things out in the open. And so hopefully museums are means where our visitors and can see and understand, you know, what Mississippi was like back in certain periods of time. Now, I don't really know the difference between the old Capitol Museum and the Civil Rights Museum and maybe another museum that we have here. So I don't understand how museums work. Do you?
I'm going to have to go check it out. I haven't been in there.
Yeah.
When the things that begin with the word old and OLE, I typically avoid. But I'm going to have to take a trip over there, and I promise to come and report back what I find.
All right.
But I have been to the Civil Rights Museum in Mississippi 6 times. It's difficult to take it all in. I typically go about 45 minutes before I have to step out in the open area and just sit and breathe, and then I'll go back in because the gravity of what's portrayed in the Civil Rights Museum is just stinging, and it gets the best of me, and I got to back away from it for a little bit, and then I'll go back and take in another piece and back out. But I made 6 trips so far. And then, of course, right next door, you know, they couldn't let the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum stand alone. They wouldn't really permit that, so they brought along right beside it the Museum of Mississippi History. So they're side by side to one another, as if there's a separation.
It's separate but equal.
Yeah. Well, we've run out of time for this first break. We still got a lot more subjects to cover, including an update for you on the water situation. I'm sorry, on the trash situation here in Jackson. So give us a minute and listen to these commercials we have for you, and we'll be right back with you.
Let's read and learn together. Meet Mason. Written by Sherry Tate. Illustrated by David. Mason is a young, inspired learner. Walk with him as he uses his 5 senses to explore the world around him. Your young one can learn to identify shapes, numbers, letters, and more with Meet Mason. Available now on Amazon.com.
My name is Wendy Wilson White. I'm a candidate for Hinds County Circuit Court Judge District 2. I was born here and I stayed here. I'm a graduate of Provine High School, Tougaloo College, and Mississippi College School of Law. I've been practicing law here in Jackson and Hinds County since 2001. I have 21 years of trial and courtroom experience, and for the past 8 years, I've been prosecuting crime. I'm running for Circuit Court Judge because I want to redefine justice. We don't deserve to feel unsafe on the streets of Jackson and Hinds County, and you don't deserve to see your families and loved ones killed. We deserve to have a judicial system we can all believe in, and you deserve to have a judge who will hold people accountable. People who live with mental illness deserve fair treatment from our judicial system. We need to educate our children about crime and how they will be held responsible for their actions. We deserve to see our children grow old. They should not be defendants or victims of crime at such early ages. You deserve a judge who is fair and impartial, experienced, and dedicated to the places you and I call home. I want to be the difference our city, county, and court deserve. On November 8th, I need your vote. Please vote Wendy Wilson White, WWW, Hinds County Circuit Court Judge, District 2.
Very good, and welcome back to We Believe Digital News Break. We're glad you're with us today. We're just picking up on some Mississippi news that's going on, and come to find out the Attorney General, Fitch, Lynn Fitch, has requested the state set an execution date for a guy that's been on death row since 2001. Thomas Edwin Loden Jr., Caucasian, been on death row since 2001 after pleading guilty to murder, rape, 4 counts of sexual battery up in, you say Itawamba? Mm-hmm. Itawamba County. So if the state does that, then that'll be the second execution in Mississippi in about the last 10 years. So we'll see what goes on with that. A lot of stuff going on with applications for ARPA funding. City of Jackson made a special application, $36 million in ARPA funding. But I just heard yesterday that the county didn't apply for any extra. Now, they're helping Jackson with some of their existing ARPA monies, but they didn't apply for additional ARPA money, so I'm not sure all the ins and outs of how that works, but it didn't seem to draw, any, negativity or anything in the press that I could see.
Well, we should apply for all of the funding that we have available to us, and it's just a missed opportunity if the county didn't apply. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they're helping Jackson, the city of Jackson, with its water infrastructure issues is the kind of thing that we should see more of. Those interlocal agreements, the collaboration, everybody working together, pulling in the same direction to solve a common problem. And so I was glad to see that the county donated, I believe, $6 million
Yes, sir.
To the city to assist them with the rebuilding of their infrastructure as it relates to water. You know, Jackson is still in the middle of a water crisis. Many of you across the country have lent a helping hand. You've sent water, you've sent donations. Many churches all over the world have been in Jackson, Mississippi, dealing with this water crisis. And it's the kind of thing that gives us hope here in Mississippi, that the national news, that the national involvement will say that we need to help our citizens down in Mississippi. You know, we're the poorest state in the nation, and we're last in every major category that you want to keep statistical rankings of. It's just not good. I mean, we're the most obese, we're the most unhealthy in the poorest state, and it just goes on from there. And so, yeah, we need help. We need help. We need not only financial contribution, but we need talent. You know, I think, Chris, that it would be good for a lot of folk to look at Mississippi as a place where they can put their expertise to use. You know, all of my retired engineers and folk that have expertise in water management should know that that expertise is desired and needed in Jackson, Mississippi. And so I'm reminded when I went to Piney Woods Country Life School back in the 60s that when I got there, most of my instructors were European from the East that had been retired. They wanted to come down and donate their times and their skills to try and make a difference. And it was critically important. And Piney Woods was rated probably one of the more successful schools during that time than any place else in Mississippi as it relates to African Americans. So, yeah, $6 million from the county is a beginning, but we need a lot more, Chris.
A lot more, right. And, you know, you mentioned something about the generosity of so many people helped us. I just wanted to share, I was down at the City Hall yesterday, and when you go right in the, not the inner office of the mayor, but the outer office of the mayor, they had a banner that was put up on the wall that St. Louis, the community in St. Louis, they say, with love and in the spirit of Chokwe Lumumba Sr., donated 1,000 cases of water to the residents of Jackson, Mississippi yesterday. From St. Louis, 1,000. And they list down at the bottom, sir, about 12 different community organizations and philanthropy organizations that put that together.
Yeah, it's just been, you know, beautiful, you know, to watch the number of folk that supplied water. I know that the AME Church over in Atlanta sent a truckload of water, Walmart, and so many other people and companies have been involved. And then the community distribution system that went into place. Yeah, we got help from the National Guard and we got help from private contractors, but the citizens, I saw them with pickup trucks with water and totes delivering water to door and things of that nature. So it was very, very inspiring, and it just tells that we as Americans can come together in the moment of crisis. Yeah.
And I guess the last thing on the Mississippi list I had for today was news came out that you know, the illustrious Brett Favre has hired a former Trump attorney, and I didn't think Brett Favre had been charged yet.
Well, he certainly has been charged in terms of the state auditor's report that he received the funds, did not fulfill the obligations that were in the contract, got millions of dollars to make speeches, and he never made those speeches. So, and the auditor has demanded a repayment of those dollars plus interest. So he's certainly been charged in that light. And clearly, of all of the people involved in that scandal, Brett Favre is taking the largest beating of all in the national media because it's played out on every major TV network that Brett Favre took money from the neediest people to build volleyball stations and stadiums and things like that. I don't know if he's been indicted as a co-conspirator by the Attorney General in Mississippi or by the DA in Hinds County. So he's been charged, but I don't know if he's been indicted.
Got it. Well, it looks like he's lawyering up. Maybe he can foresee the future here. So, when we get down to Hinds County, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? Hinds County Circuit Court Judge Faye Peterson denied William Edwards' request for bail. Polo. Edwards has been charged in the murder of Robert Davis, the former president of the Better Men's Society. That happened. The alleged murder happened on May 1st in Clinton, and it looks like Polo was trying to get bail, and the Judge Peterson thought he was a flight risk, and denied the bail.
Yeah, it's such a tragic story. Napoleon Edwards, a.k.a. Polo, was very popular radio personality, social media personality with a tremendous following. Every time he went live, he'd have thousands of people in the room, as they say on social media. And to find himself in the situation that he is in now, you got to go back and wonder what happened. This community is still grieving over the loss of life with Brother Robert Davis, a very popular young man as well. And it was some altercation over a woman that got them both into this particular position. And so it seems like it was more than a bond hearing. There seemed to have been testimony about, where he went first. I understand that he after the incident, he reloaded to Lexington, Mississippi, and then from Lexington, Mississippi, down to New Orleans. And so he demonstrated a pattern of fleet. And so the judge has now said that because he tried to flee from the scene, from the state, that he is a flight risk, and therefore they are going to deny bond.
Yeah.
It didn't help his case either that he's also been charged as a felon in possession of a firearm. So I believe the charge is first-degree murder. And I know that his attorneys and everybody have tried to work on getting the charge down to a manslaughter grade as a crime of passion. I understand that that's what they've been doing. And so Judge Faye Peterson apparently didn't buy it.
Right.
And bond was denied. And every time Polo comes to trial, it's in the audience, you're going to have a lot of people there for his trial. And sometimes, I wonder, what that's about. I remember watching Westerns that, hangings were public. You would have a public hanging, and everybody in the town would come out into the courtyard to watch the hanging. It was an event. People from all over came, and it was, they brought food and picnic baskets and to view the public hanging. And we found that to be barbaric, and as society progressed, we went away from those kind of events. And so I'm afraid that Polo is in the midst of a public hanging.
No doubt. Yeah. No doubt. JPD announced, Mr. Garrett, that they're up to a pay now of $45,000. They're trying their best to compete with metro area agencies, including the new Capitol Police Department. And, it's interesting because Sheriff Tyree Jones was saying just the other day, he was asking the Board of Supervisors for more money, and saying that over the course of about 1 week, he had lost 3 deputies to the Capitol Police. And they tell him when they resign that it's due to money, and they go across the street to the Capitol Police for $12,500 more then Tyree Jones is able to pay them. And so then, and now you see JPD is elevating their base rate, which is quite a bit higher than, the sheriffs are at $29,000 right now, if you can believe that. And he wants to get them, on par with the Capitol Police, who are at $42,500.
Well, Mississippi is the right to work state. We operate on the minimum wage. Most of the positions in government and the private sector are below the national average and below the southeastern average of which we reside. And so it is a wonderful thing if the JPD can increase its pay rate to be competitive with other regions, Birmingham, Memphis, and New Orleans, then we will get a better trained police force, and we will get a higher quality of officers in the police department.
Right.
Now, I don't understand the two police departments operating in the same city. You mentioned the Capitol Police Department and the Jackson Police Department. So there's a lot of conflict here, Chris, and there have been a lot of community meetings about the crime and the tactics of the Capitol Police Department. And folk are beginning to wonder if they are properly trained. Do they have the same equipment? Are they wearing their cameras? What is going on with the Capitol Police Department? So I know that they are extending their territory and their boundaries within the city. And I think, Chris, that an inherent conflict exists and will exist trying to operate two police departments in the same geographical space. And the highest ranking officer in Hinds County is the sheriff of Hinds County. So I don't imagine you could have two sheriffs in Hinds County.
Right.
I don't know if the Capitol Police Department reports up to the chief of police in Jackson. I doubt it. No. I don't know how the arrests that they're made are processed. Do they come up through the traditional judicial systems, or their cases being heard by a separate judicial branch? I don't know where the fines are collected, that when they issue a fine to someone, I don't know where those dollars go from those tickets that they write. Are those dollars going into the general fund in the city of Jackson, or are they going outside of Jackson, Mississippi? There are so many questions about this arrangement until, Chris, you're going to have to do a lot more research.
The safety commissioner, Sean Tyndall, that's who the Capitol Police chief reports to. So the money, that's not coming back to Jackson. That's, yeah. No, I'll research it for sure.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I hear you laughing, but I don't know exactly what you're laughing about.
Well, I'm laughing because they just do all this because they view themselves as different. They don't view themselves as part of the community. They don't really care so much about Jackson. That's why they created their own little safety zone there, and now the Capitol Police are out there shooting them up. And one man had to die over it. Of course, we don't know the specifics, but a 25-year-old man had to die at the hands of Capitol Police. 3 shootings in 4 weeks.
Wow.
4 to 5 weeks.
Well, Chris, I wish we had more time to get inside of those things. Our time has expired for here today. And I'd just like to say thank you to all our viewers out there that are sending stars on Facebook. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our channel there. Our app sits right there. On Roku TV, our app sits right there between between Netflix and Showtime. And on our website, WeBelieveDigital.com, where we archive and house all of your information. So you can call us at 800-492-5186 and make a contribution. We need your help. It takes money to run this operation, and we want to be able to bring you the kinds of story and information that you can't find anywhere else. The 6 and 10 o'clock news gives about 10 minutes to news as it relates to Jackson and the state of Mississippi, and 8 minutes of that is about crime, who shot who, on the night before. And so we try to do things a little bit differently, but we need your help. If you want to make a donation to support this operation, you can do it through the nonprofit New South Development and Training, and it'll have a tax-deductible donation as well. So we're looking for many ways to garner your support and your confidence and your belief that we will do the right thing by having these kind of shows. And Chris, as always, it's good to be in the studio with you.
Same here, sir. And let's not forget, too, the State Fair opened up yesterday, so we'll see how that goes. I got to go back and look at the lineup for the music, but I believe it's next Wednesday night. Bobby Rush will be at 7 o'clock out there, so I look forward to getting out there at least that night. But State Fair opened up as of yesterday. Take good care, everybody, and stay safe out there.